All right, welcome to Talk-Jitsu with host Uki Mike, Joey Boretski, and me, Jordan Preisinger from Jordan Teaches Jiujitsu. Today we have a great episode for you guys today, and what we wanted to start off talking about is there was a death on a subway. So what happened was there was a passenger threatening other passengers. Another passenger took it into his own hands, put him in a chokehold, and then he died, and it's been ruled a homicide. So I think that's a really interesting topic because, as jiu-jitsu practitioners, there always is a chance we'll need to use what we know to either defend ourselves or defend others. And there's risk to that. So Joey, you watched the video. What's your take on this?
Yeah, that was a murder. If you choke a guy and he dies, that's murder. If he dies as a result of your choke, that is murder. It's not like I'm not going to tell people like you should be going around threatening people on a subway. I've been on a New York subway. That's a terrifying place. It's pretty disgusting. But if someone's threatening someone on a subway and you legitimately think like this person might cause harm to someone, I don't think it's wrong necessarily to maybe try and subdue them until the authorities get there. But part of learning jiu-jitsu and these skills is that, it's like that Spider-Man quote, like with power comes responsibility or something like that. Like if you're going to try and subdue someone with jiu-jitsu, you have to be responsible enough to not kill the guy you're doing it to. I mean, it'd be the same thing if someone tried to fight you on a subway and you said, well, I'm going to defend myself. You can't kill the guy. Like the beauty of jiu-jitsu is that you should be able to subdue someone without murdering them.
But did they say that he was a jiu-jitsu practitioner? I know they said he was a former Marine.
From what I heard, this is what I heard, that he wasn't a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but he had like basics from his Marine training. So that kind of complicates it a bit too, because maybe he wasn't, trained well enough to really understand the position and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know, but I could be totally, maybe he does do jiu-jitsu, but yeah, Joey, I really like that quote you mentioned. That's one thing I always tell the kids: with great power comes great responsibility, because we are teaching them something that can be so lethal. And if you're not responsible with it, you could definitely hurt someone or kill them in this situation. I think it's kind of a complicated situation because, when I don't know if this guy was on drugs, like I assume so, because he was so erratic in the subway, or maybe he had mental health problems, but those two things can, make it more likely that you can die in one of these situations where you're panicking, someone's on your back, it's on your back and your neck, and you're panicking. And then even if they're not trying to, hold on to the choke for minutes, you could still have potential to, they can still die. So I don't know if he held it on too long and that's why he died, or if he did have, pre-existing kind of health problems that led to that. I'm not too sure. I think it's super complicated, because I think on one end, I 100% agree with you. Like, because if I was in that situation, or anyone in that situation, what they should do is use the minimum effective dose to control the person to prevent them from hurting others, right? Like if he is threatening others, he does leave himself vulnerable to be, in a threatening situation. It's like kind of like fuck around, find out. But at the same time, to actually kill the person is like way overboard, and you should not do that. But, maybe his intention wasn't to do that. But it looked like me, like I didn't see, the whole video. I only saw the clips of it and, articles and stuff like that. But, it looked to me like he held it on too long. Like, it looks like that was the problem. But, yeah,
it was hard to tell from the video. It didn't really have much context. It just kind of starts with them already in a chokehold. It didn't show what he was doing before and anything like that. And the coroner report didn't say anything about drugs or anything, but it does take a while for, I know, a toxicology report to come back. So who knows if there was drugs involved, or like you said, maybe mental health issues. But in the article, it did say he was bothering passengers. So the guy tried to subdue him. And I think maybe he didn't know enough jiu-jitsu, or he only learned a little bit and thought, I can keep a chokehold on. It won't kill somebody. I'm sure the guy's intentions weren't to kill somebody that day. He just wanted to subdue them. I don't know, but I imagine so.
Yeah, I feel like, if you're subduing someone and you have their back, like, do you need to also put the choke in? I don't really know if you have to. Like, maybe you get underneath their neck so they can't bite you or anything like that. But to actually put a choke on for an extended period of time, that seems like it's definitely overkill. And, yeah, he died. So that is overkill for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely control somebody from the back for a long period of time without choking them unconscious. But who knows? We don't know if the guy had a weapon. you know, when we also aren't in that situation ourselves, who knows when our fight or flight kicks in, what we would do. We could only tell at the time, right?
Well, that's the challenging part too, is like when you're in these situations, it can be really hard to have a level head and know exactly what to do. You know, I feel like de-escalation is the best way to deal with it. You know, you can subdue him so he doesn't hurt others, but then, you know, de-escalate, be like, you know, man, it's like, calm down. I'm not going to hurt you. You know, I'm going to let go, but I need you to relax and that kind of stuff, rather than just right away, just choking him. But like I said, you know, I can see kind of both sides, because if you do threaten others, you leave yourself in a threatening situation. Like, it's just kind of like, you know, what I've heard, that he has like a lot of prior, you know, arrests and stuff like that. And it doesn't justify it at all. But, you know, clearly this guy is somewhat of a dangerous person. So, you know, I think being subdued probably was good, but yeah, getting choked, not so good.
Yeah. You can take things too far. It can go too far real quick. Another story, a friend of mine was a bouncer, and a guy was trying to come in, and he pushed him out of the bar. The guy hit his head and died.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was in jail. He was a murderer after that. That's what he considered, you know, it's manslaughter.
Well,
right?
I think like the outcome is, I don't know if there's going to be a trial. I mean, he was charged with homicide. Like, it was ruled a homicide, so I guess he'd be charged with it, right? Like the outcome of this case will really impact how people, you know, feel about trying to defend others, right? Because yeah, it's just a complicated situation, because now what if, like, now you're like worried, like, oh, if I like step in and intervene, I might go to jail if I accidentally kill the person. Because again, if the person's on drugs and these other issues, you might kill them by accident without even intentionally choking them or anything like that. It's just like too much like adrenaline and whatnot. Their heart can't take it. So yeah, man, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough situation to try to figure out what you would do. Like I said, I don't think you'd know until you're actually in the situation itself. And hopefully, because we're all trained, our training would take over, and we would know enough pressure to not kill somebody. You know, that's why I think that possibly, I don't know, but that's why I would imagine the Marine who did it doesn't train jiu-jitsu fully. I don't know though.
Yeah.
I mean, you would hope not. Like,
Yeah.
you would hope that guy doesn't train all the time and just went out here and was like, yeah, I'm going to choke this guy until he dies. That would be pretty messed up. I mean, one interesting thing I saw in response to this was someone's comment of, every time you lose consciousness, there's a chance you don't get it back. And I thought that was really interesting from a like self-defense standpoint, is anytime you make your partner lose consciousness, or whoever you're defending yourself from, there's a chance they don't wake up. And if they don't, that's on you now. Like, you have to live with that. I really think, like, kind of like what you were saying earlier, like having someone's back, and even just like, instead of going for the neck, just controlling the hands, like with a double seatbelt style of thing, and just being like, hey, I'll hold you here all day. You're not going anywhere. You're just stuck here. That's a way better way to subdue someone.
Exactly. Like, do the minimum amount that you need to, like, de-escalate. I think that's something that people have a hard time with. You know, a lot of times I see, like, on TikToks, not all cops are like this, obviously, but sometimes they come into these situations where it's like they're escalating it, you know, they're making the situation worse. And that's just like, doesn't help anyone. And I don't know in this specific situation, you know, if this guy made it worse by escalating it further, and like, but you know, you definitely can, like, I don't think he has a need to choke him for sure. I think it's also important people understand, you know, how long it takes to actually, you know, choke someone out, how long it takes after they're asleep for damage to happen. Because, you know, firstly, you'll get brain damage, and you'll be completely brain dead and die, you know, due to lack of oxygen to the head and to the brain. And it only takes, like, I don't know exactly, but probably around like 5 to 10 seconds to put someone to sleep.
I think what I've heard is 4 to 6 seconds to put someone to sleep, and after 12 to 15, you can cause brain damage. I could be wrong, but that is what I've heard.
Yeah. And then you see like MMA fights, like some really poor reffing, and there's guys like,
God.
Man, that's the hardest thing to watch. And this person's asleep. It's so obvious. And the ref just doesn't notice, but everyone else in the arena, all the coaches, they see. And, you know, I've seen it before where like the coaches are yelling at the ref, like, they're asleep. But man, if it's my fighter, I'm not going to tell them they're asleep. I'm getting over the cage, and I'm going to break that fight up, because, man, you got to do what you got to do to save your fighter. And
John Fitch, did you see that one? He held it on way too long. John Fitch was unconscious for way too long. And finally, you know, they're screaming to let him up. And I can't remember the ref. He's the ref that the UFC doesn't allow anymore. Can't remember his name, but it was terrible.
Yeah, these people need better training for sure. And yeah, same with like that Marine that did that. I don't know what his training was like, but you should get better training to know, how dangerous it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's definitely a complicated situation. So if anything sounded like harsh or anything like that, like when I said fuck around, find out, I don't mean it like that. I just mean like, it's just you put yourself at risk when you put others at risk. That's just the way it is, right? So definitely wish that guy didn't die.
Yeah.
That'd be ideal for sure. But yeah, one thing I want to talk about, there was ADCC Canada this past weekend, and it was really good. I wish I could have, been there and competed in it, but just too busy with the theory course and stuff like that. And also, like, I just don't love competing either. But like when I was watching I was watching the finals, I was like, man, I wish I would have done it. But yeah, just the way it goes. But yeah, it was some really like technical, high level jiu-jitsu, and Big Dan from New Wave Jiu-Jitsu, he got double gold. He looked really good. And I'd seen him on Who's Next, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I wasn't like I'm more impressed now watching him than I was when I watched him on Who's Next. Like, he's improved a lot, and he's very technical now, and he's a big, strong dude, and that's like a lethal combination.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if like as the years go by, if he will start challenging Gordon, because I think he's bigger and more physical. I could be wrong. I haven't really seen them side by side, but he looks like it to me. I don't think he has the technicality now to beat Gordon, but like his technicality is looking very good, and he's definitely a force to be reckoned with in the jiu-jitsu world. And yeah, he looked great out there. And what were your thoughts, Joey, watching ADCC?
I thought, like you said, like I thought Big Dan was one of the most improved grapplers in like a year that I've ever seen. His run through trials, you could tell like this is definitely a big, strong, athletic guy, but there was a lot of like technical stuff that wasn't there. And really importantly, in trials, I believe he lost because he pulled guard in the overtime and got a -1. In the West Coast trials. I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. I watch a lot of jiu-jitsu matches, guys. So if I'm ever wrong, someone shoot me a message in the comments and tell me I'm wrong. But I think I got that one right. He lost in the finals by pulling guard, which is just a tactical error. If you don't know the ADCC rule set, you don't know it's a -1 for pulling guard. You pull guard, you're now down. You thought you were even, you lose. But he played the ADCC rules really well. His technicality looked great. Like he looked really good. Like that's the kind of guy for me that's like a nightmare when I sign up for an open weight division. You're like, just please God, not this guy. Anyone but this giant human. Yeah, I feel bad for anyone small who got him in the open weight because he looked really good.
Yeah, I saw him against Franco Pana, who I beat at blue belt, but like now he's got like even bigger. He's this big, huge like ex-footballer, and he looked like a force to be reckoned with too. I think that'd be a very challenging match for me now because he looks great and he's huge. I saw someone go for a double leg on him and they just like bounced off of him because he's just like it's a powerhouse. And he gave he gave Big Dan a good match, but I think Big Dan was just more technical than him. But I think yeah, Franco, if he continues to improve, which I'm sure he will, I would love to see him, yeah, just do better and better and better. But one thing about Big Dan, like watching him, like and seeing him improve, is his technicality. And I think that people without like black belt eyes, meaning like it's hard to really see what's going on. Like they might not know what to look for when determining how technical someone is or isn't. So it's a question I want to ask you, Joey, and then I'll answer my opinion. Like, what do you think? Like, how can you tell if someone's technical? Like, what do you look for to be like, oh yeah, that person's improved their technicality, they're a technical grappler?
Uh, it does somewhat depend on the person and their style. There's a couple little things like, and again, these don't apply to everyone is different. Like you can watch some guys like the Ruotolos for me are like a weird anomaly because they do stuff that normally you'd be like, that's not technical. But when you watch their games in the entirety, you can understand why they're doing what they're doing. So they're a bit of an exception. But what I generally look for when I'm determining if someone's technical is how much wasted movement do you have? Like, are you doing things that don't make sense? aren't contributing to you controlling the person or getting a better position. They're just wasted movements or movements that have no purpose. And how many just blatantly wrong movements are you doing? You know, are you giving up inside position when you don't have to? Are you chasing things that you don't have to get? Like, good example is like if you're on half guard bottom, if you're desperately reaching for an underhook and the guy's just repummeling on you, that's not very technical because you're not getting the underhook in a reliable and safe way without exposing yourself to danger that you don't need to be exposed to. And like I said, some guys, you know, like the Ruotolos kind of skirt that line because I think they have like an acceptable level of danger that they're willing to expose themselves to make opportunities that most high level guys aren't aware of there, because most other high level guys just aren't willing to take the risks that the Ruotolos are willing to take. And I think that's why you see guys like Mica Galvao getting caught by them, not necessarily because they're more technical, but because they do things in a really weird way. But yeah, that's my general answer with a small tangent on it.
Yeah, I mean, what you said is exactly what I think. Like, if I watch like a black belt or whoever it is, and I see like they're kind of winging things, and like their movements, their grips aren't like deliberate, that's when I get the impression that they lack technicality. And when like you watch someone and every movement they do has a purpose, and you know, and is like the path to get it, so like the objective is clear what their objective is as they're doing it, it's like you can tell their technicality. I think that you nailed it on the head with that example of the Ruotolo Brothers. And I don't mean this in a negative way, but you know, when I watched them against Mica Galvao, I could tell that Mica Galvao was the more technical grappler. But you know, the Ruotolo Brothers are just like, they are technical for sure, but they do things like very unorthodox and they leave themselves exposed. But because they have like so much athleticism and so much they're so good at capitalizing, and they're like what they do works really good for them. And it doesn't mean they're not technical, but when you watch Mica Galvao, it's like every movement he does has purpose. And it's like everything I see in my head, which I think he should do, that's what he's doing. So it's like really yeah, it's really cool seeing the contrast in styles, and how if you, I don't know, I don't want to say lack technicality, but I can't find a better word. But if you do, like, you can make up for it with other attributes. I think that's what makes the Ruotolo Brothers so dangerous. It's like they're not super traditional in what they're doing. So it's like really, you don't know what they're gonna do, and they just throw things at you. Like, yeah, it's really cool to watch.
Well, that's what makes them so exciting to watch, right? Because you never know what they're going to do. And sometimes when they're doing stuff, I'm like, why would they do that? They're leaving themselves wide open, like you said, but they capitalize on it so quickly. They're so athletic, and they've been doing it for so long that they're just amazing.
Yeah, they're great scramblers. So like if they get in a bad position for a second, they're gonna scramble right out of it. Whereas like traditionally, you know, someone at that level might not be put in the positions they're put in, but they have such an open game. So yeah, like Mike, like when you watch jiu-jitsu, can you like tell exactly what's happening, and like do you feel like you can tell how technical someone is?
Not to the level that you guys are at, but I mean, yeah, like you said, when it's moves with purpose, that's when I can tell if they're technical. But like you said, Joey, you watch the Ruotolos and it just kind of throws everything out the window. They're all over the place, but they're so technical at the same time. But yeah, I can tell, not to the level of you guys, but yeah, if I see somebody move with purpose, like you said, Mica Galvao, everything he does, you know, it's perfectly technical, supposed to do that every time.
Support for Talk-Jitsu is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code JTJ at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 14 million balls. So what's your experience been with Manscaped?
Well, I've used probably a half a dozen different name brand products before, and they're terrible. I've cut myself every time, and these are very expensive, very well named brand products. And with Manscaped, I've never cut myself.
Exactly. And you know what I like the most about the Manscaped razor is it has a flashlight on it. And you think
that's the best.
It's amazing. You think that, it's just this like, feature or whatever, but actually it's kind of like when you experience a light on your razor, it makes you wonder why no other ones have that too, because this is a game changer. You can just see everything so much easier, you know, even if you don't have the perfect lighting. So that was my favorite aspect of it. I was actually shocked how much better it made too, because I was, you know, doing my neckline and everything. I was like, oh, I can actually see where the line should be, right? Because there's a light. It's so simple and so smart. So I really like that from Manscaped.
100%. I thought, is this a gimmick? And then I tried it. I was like, no, this is the way. This is the only razor I've ever had that has a light on it, and it really lights the way to shaving your balls.
It does. It makes all the difference. I think a lot of other brands are maybe more towards like your hair or just your beard or something, right? But this is like the full package. So guys, JTJ at checkout, let's go. Yeah, and not to change the subject and talk about, you know, steroids like we always do, but it is interesting that Mica Galvao got caught for steroids. He got caught for Clomid, which is what, I don't know how to describe it.
It's an anti-estrogen, I believe, or something that you take after a cycle to bring your levels back up.
I think some people take it just even if they don't cycle. I think that's what they were trying to make, that like, oh, he trains so much, so he's taking it to bring his testosterone up. But I think more likely is that he did a cycle, took the Clomid as a PCT, a post-cycle
therapy.
Yeah, post-cycle therapy. Yeah. And then he got caught, and you know, it's been known for a long time how strong he is, and you know, it's like, okay, well, I think this is why, you know, and it's kind of you know, crappy in a way, because he is so technical, it's so young, and you know, people look up to him, and then kind of like it's not the best look for sure. But
it's crazy to me that people are doing like full steroid cycles at 18, 17, 16 years old. Like that just blows my mind. That's dangerous. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing it as a healthy adult male because your levels are lower, that's a different story altogether. But I don't know. Like, I don't think the Ruotolo brothers, I wouldn't say that they're on gear, but who knows? But by my eye, they passed the eye test, you know?
Yeah. And they're super adamant about being anti-doping, but like, you know, so is GSP.
So is Nicky Rod.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe Nicky Rod was clean for 6 months before his piss test, but I don't know. If I wouldn't bet the house on that he's never touched a performance enhancing drug.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's hard to say for sure, because some people are just so athletic and you know, don't necessarily pass the eye test even if they are natural. So yeah, some people are just like blessed with their genetics, and yeah, it's too bad that Mica did that, because you know, it sucks for him too. He won the world championship, and now he didn't, because now the Ruotolo got you know, the medal instead, and that's kind of a crappy way to win too. It's like you know, I'm a world champion, but you know, I wasn't at the day it happened, but now I am, because the guy got caught for doping. So that's definitely you know, it's a victory, but it's got to not feel the same way as like being able to celebrate that day. Like, you know, I won, but yeah.
I think he got a 1-year ban, was it?
Yes. So we should caveat this slightly. The way the USADA policy for IBJJF works is it's a 3-year ban for a banned substance. Mica did actually have a doctor's prescription for Clomid, which we can get into a separate discussion of why the heck is a doctor prescribing a 19-year-old kid and like a fertility drug, essentially, that's used to mess with hormones. You know, there's and in Brazil, there's definitely some discussion as to whether or not the prescription's legitimate or for something else. But he got a 1-year suspension because it wasn't that he had the drug. Had he disclosed prior to the tournament that he was taking it with the doctor's prescription, it would have been okay. The 1-year ban is because he didn't disclose he was taking an illegal drug with prescription. So it is slightly different.
No, 100%. That's interesting to me though, that like if you disclosed it, it'd be all good. But I don't think you can disclose your TRT prescription and it'd be all good. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think TRT falls into a different category. Again, I'm not an expert on USADA. There are people out there that would be able to give you better answers than we are. But I think Clomid, because it does have like, you know, not that other drugs don't have legitimate medical uses, but Clomid does have like scientifically backed, researched medical purposes for taking it. I think because he had a doctor's prescription for that, then it becomes okay. Again, I'm not an expert.
Yeah, I know if you're infertile too, that can help. So I don't know if he's trying to have kids right now at 19, but I doubt it. And yeah, I don't recommend it either as a competitor to have kids early on, especially. It's makes it very difficult. But one thing that's interesting too, when it comes to ADCC is that, it was originally supposed to be on Fight Pass now, which is great. I think,
Yeah.
it's a lot cheaper than FloGrappling, and a lot of people have Fight Pass already, and they have a great, great platform. But it's back on Flow, which is like, the worst platform, just to be honest, because like I had heard people before talking about the search features of Flow and, being really unreliable. And I had Flow because I want to watch ADCC. So I got it and I tried to use the search features and I was like, wow, I know exactly what they're talking about. It's like I'm searching for things and I'm not getting any results. I'm just getting random stuff. So yeah, but that's one thing. But then the other thing is like Flow, like a little sketchy. Like they want 1 year subscriptions, and then even if you cancel, a lot of people still get charged. And yeah, people aren't happy it's on Flow. Joey, I'm sure you're opinionated about Flow, so give us your take on this.
Yeah, I hate Flow about as much as anyone. So I can give a little bit of, I don't know if it's insider information. I'm pretty sure it's public, but what I've heard from some people in the know is that it was actually the ADCC Canada that's the reason is going back to Flow. I guess Fight Pass really screwed up with the being able to stream the opens and have all of the match streamable and selectable to watch. I guess there was like some logistical issues, and for all of my criticisms of Flow, they do all the major IBJJF tournaments where there are 12 mats running at a time. They do a really good job of having all of the mats being recorded, live streamed. You can easily select which mat you want to watch. So I think that was a big part of the reason, was just the multi-mat streaming capabilities of the websites. But yeah, no, the search function on Flow is awful. Like my big issue with it is if you search someone like, let's say, trying to think of a good name, like Marcelo Garcia, it will give you every match of every person who has Marcelo in their name or Garcia in their name. And for some of these Brazilian guys, like there's a lot of them, man. Like a lot of them share the same last names or the same. I'm not sure the Brazilian naming cultures, but they have like a lot of them have the same little pieces of names. Like when they have their 4 or 5 names, they've all got it in there. And you're like, man, like I don't need to see 800 guys named Oliveira when I'm trying to find Diego Pato's one match at one tournament. And now I've got, 17,000 videos I'm scrolling through looking for it. It's really terrible. They need to fix their search interface. But as far as like the multi-mat streaming goes, they definitely are the best at that.
Yeah.
I just found it strange that they would switch because UFC has such a huge reach in the world, right? And it would bring so many more new eyes and so much more money, I think, to the grapplers eventually because it's so worldwide.
Yeah. I mean, what I've heard, like, well, there's people are saying like it's like kind of like ADC's like they like kind of sold out to Flow because being on UFC Fight Pass would be a lot better exposure for the sport. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not super opinionated on it just because I don't really watch high level jiu-jitsu too much, like or jiu-jitsu competitions too much. Like sometimes I do like watch some amount of ADCC, but I'm not like watching every card or anything like that. Like you do, Joey. I know you're big into watching grappling.
I just hate that you have to pay $100 and some when I want to watch one tournament every year. You know what I mean? I'm only going to watch it now and then. But I've heard that, correct me if I'm wrong, if you get Flow Wrestling, you can get it monthly and then you can kind of work around that.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. Because, but like, I guess if you get like any Flow, but I wasn't sure which one to get at the time. So I was gonna get like Flow Ballet or something, or cheerleading or something like that. Then I was like, oh, I don't want this to appear on my taxes and then them say like, because I wanted to tax deduct it. You know what I mean? So I was gonna get a month, but then I was like, oh, okay, I'll just bite the bullet just to be safe. And I got I got FloGrappling instead. But
yeah, no, I allegedly borrowed somebody's. I'm not going to pay $100 some. I allegedly used somebody else's account. So,
well, I think the reason they do that is because if they didn't charge for a year, everyone would just get a month for only ADCC. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people, and then they would just cancel it, which is exactly what I would do. And I'm sure exactly what you would do too.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah, I can see the reasoning, but they do put good content out there nowadays. Like have kind of adopted like the UFC countdown type of videos. Like I watched like a countdown to, it was Gordon Ryan versus, I think, yeah, Pena. It was pretty good. You know, they
Yeah.
did a good job on that. And with Daisy Fresh too, that was but the first season I thought was really good. I really enjoyed it. Not that I'm like saying the seasons after were bad, but they didn't like captivate my attention the same way. But yeah, season 1 was like really good.
Yeah, no, that got me hooked right there. It was when I started watching the Daisy Fresh stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a very good job at their mini docs.
Yeah, you know, one thing that happened I want to talk about too is my friend Nick Castiglia. He owns a Gracie Baja, or 2 Gracie Bajas, I guess, in Ottawa, and someone set fire to both of them.
Shit.
Yeah, to both of them, and yeah, the arson and what's the other word, like vandalism, and that's a really horrible thing to do. You know, it's obviously targeted if they did both his gyms. You know, I wonder what led to that. You know, I don't know if it's another like gym owner that's a little crazy, or it's someone, you know, maybe ex student that was like, I'm going to get him back. And that is a complicated situation when you have like a student you can tell is a little out there, and then you have to like, I don't know if this is what happened, but I'm just saying, like, you know, I've been in a situation before where it's like probably not a good idea for them to train in the gym, but kicking them out, I worry they're going to go crazy too. So I had a one time that I had to kick someone out because they were just yeah, they were being very weird, and just they had a very, I don't know, I didn't feel right with them being there. And I afterwards, when I told him like I'm sorry, man, but yeah, I can't give you a membership. He started like saying all these things like, oh, I don't support people with like all these things or whatever. I'm like, oh man, like that's not it, you know.
Was that the racist guy?
No, that's a different dude. No.
Okay.
Yeah, but that racist guy, that was pretty crazy too. I had to tell him not to come because yeah, this is a, I don't know, weird story. So like I just made like a joke in front of the class, like while we are doing kickboxing, just like a harmless joke. It was just like, it was dumb. It was like what kind of bee gives milk? And it was a booby, and it was just funny, you know. And
Dad
then
jokes.
I'm like, yeah, is anyone else I got a joke? And then he made like a black joke that was super inappropriate, and there was you know, people of color there. So that was very awkward. And the things you got to deal with as a gym owner, you know, that was, I've had a lot of weird experiences as a gym owner. That was one of the weirdest ones that I was really taken back by that. And like, you know, I just like, yeah, I dealt with it, and that was pretty crappy. Hopefully you don't got to deal with much like that, Joey. Hopefully people in Edmonton are less crazy than people here.
Oh no, it's pretty. I lived in Edmonton for 10 years. So there's some whack jobs out there, but there is everywhere.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if that's what, you know, what happened. Like, I don't know why this person did that, but that's a pretty awful thing because, you know, yeah, you have insurance, they can fix it, whatever, but you might lose, you know, it's going to take a while to get back going. And, you know, it's really a huge disruption in your business. So I feel really bad for my friend Nick, and just a horrible thing to do.
That's terrible. You got to start over from scratch again.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick has such a great Gracie Baja. You know, a lot of people like to talk shit about Gracie Baja, you know what I mean? And like other gyms like that. But I think it's very situational, you know, because yeah, some like Gracie gyms or Gracie Baja gyms can suck for sure, but so can like non-Gracie gyms. A lot of them can suck too. So it really depends on the owner and, you know, the environment and stuff like that. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I could speak to this as well as anyone. Like I'll give all credit, like anyone who hasn't met Nick, he is one of the sweetest human beings you would ever meet in your life. Doesn't look like it. He's a terrifying man, very large, very scary looking. But he is an absolute sweetheart. I mean, I trained with him years and years ago. I hadn't seen him in a long time. I was in town in Ottawa, just looking for a gym to drop in at, and he invited me to train as GB. This was probably like a year and a half ago. I didn't have any GB gear or anything. So I was like, he had a brand new gi waiting for me at the thing. He was like, Nick is one of the most compassionate and understanding people. And if you're nice to him, he will remember you for the rest. Like he'll see people years later, having only met them once, and he comes over, gives you a hug, asks you how you're doing. He is a great guy. One of the reasons I actually agreed to join the Gracie Baja in Edmonton when I moved out here and teach there was because of Nick and how awesome his gym was and how inclusive. And then quickly realized that like these are franchises. They are owned by very different people and they are run very differently. Most are not run like Nick's. Yeah, it's like I have as much problem with GB as anyone, but Nick is a great guy and definitely did not deserve to have that happen to him because he is a really amazing person who definitely gives a lot back to the jiu-jitsu community and jiu-jitsu scene. Like I know Jordan, you've worked with him in the past. He's given me a lot of really great advice over the years. I just like it, you know, it breaks my heart a little bit to see that someone would be willing to do that. Like, and if it is targeting his businesses, like that's really a scummy thing to do.
Yeah, it's either the biggest coincidence ever, or like you said, somebody had it out for him.
Yeah, you know, I really wonder the motive for that because that's a pretty extreme thing to do, right? And obviously, it was not justified. But I just wonder I really wonder what went down there. You know, I assume that he knows who did it because there had to be such a vendetta to do it, right? So that's a really interesting thing, and I'm definitely curious to hear more as like more information comes out. But yeah, that's messed up, man.
As gym owners, well, Joey, you're a fairly new gym owner, but as a gym owner, like you said earlier, you've had to kick a couple people out. But have you ever had anybody threaten you or say they're gonna do extreme stuff?
Yeah. This one time, I kicked this guy out because I heard like, you know, he was just kind of like not a good dude. Like he got kicked out of his gym, and yeah, he said some stuff about like my family and about Nikki too, and just really inappropriate. And yeah, but I felt like okay, the best way to deal with this is just ignore him because if I go out there and kick his ass, it's just going to lead to more problems. And like later on, he apologized for saying what he said, but super inappropriate what he did say, and you know, bothered me for sure. I was like, you know, this some bullshit. This guy's saying this stuff, but yeah, sometimes you got to be the bigger man and just completely ignore assholes like that because yeah, you address them, you know, feed the trolls, then you know, bad things can happen. But yeah, definitely, I had a lot of weird experiences as a gym owner, and because you just attract such a, you know, a diverse crowd. Like you know, you get a lot of good people. But there's always going to be some weirdos, you know, out there. You know, one thing that was really weird, and I once got this review that said like we weren't like inclusive to people of color. And I was like, what? You know, like we have zero issue with anyone.
Yeah.
And they like deleted the review like right after they posted it. So I don't really get what that was all about. And that really like took me back because for one, I'm not racist whatsoever. And two, that can have a huge effect on my business and reputation. And like, so I was like thinking like, why would someone write this? You know?
Yeah. Could be competition.
Yeah, it could be. It could be to someone, you know, just being like just being a dick and then, you know, writing some shit. Then they felt bad because like we're trying to figure, you know, out of the people of color at our gym, like who would think to write that? And like everyone there, like we're all on great terms with, and we would never have any issue whatsoever. So like that was a really weird thing to read. I was like, what is this? But yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm really happy they took it off because that is not the way we are whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, there's so many stories of just weirdos. It's just hard to remember them all. But yeah, you know, we had this weird guy too that we we had to kick out too, and he was like saying he's gonna, you know, he was saying like I could kick his ass, but like my students, he would kick their asses or whatever. But it was a really strange thing. He was really crazy, and you know, which sucks for him. But at the same time, you don't have to say that stuff either, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, Joey, you're gonna definitely experience some weird things here and there, but hopefully not too much. I haven't experienced anything weird in a while.
Yeah,
So
it's been a while.
I
Everybody we
can't
have
wait.
now are so good. Everybody's so calm. Everybody gets along. There's no riffs or like clicks in here. Everybody loves everybody.
yeah, this one guy who I mentioned, he was like obsessed with me. He was like just thought I was like God's gift to the planet or something. And like, you know, while I appreciate, you know, the sentiment, it's also like too much. Like, you know, I don't want people doing stuff like that. Like I'm just, yeah, he was trying to like, yeah, I don't know. It was really weird. Yeah, it's really strange. Yeah.
I haven't gotten any of that yet. The one thing I will say, I am shocked at the amount of people who message. Like, I'm sure you get this too, like people who message through like your website or the phone number or social media being like, can I come try a class? It's like, of course, yeah, we have a free trial. And they're like, perfect, I'll be there tonight. And then never show up. Like it's an overwhelming number of people. Like it's gotten to the point where already like 2 weeks in, when someone tells me they're going to come try a class, I'm like, yeah, okay, buddy, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I've been dealing with that since day one, the exact same thing. So now what I try to do is like if someone like books a trial or sends an email, I try to text them and try to like build up a bit of a I don't know, relationship with them. Not like a big one, but just like say like, oh, I'll be your instructor today or at class tonight, and looking forward to meeting you. Have you trained at all? Is this your first time? They'll be like, oh, it's my first time, and be, oh, no problem. Like class is good for beginners. It's going to be all good. That's one way to help reel them in, because I think some people get really nervous and then they like change their mind. They don't come, and then because they no showed, well, now they feel really nervous about coming back, right? Or establishing another appointment to come back. So yeah, that's definitely that's a tough thing for a gym owner to deal with. A lot of no shows for sure.
That's what happened to me. I was terrified. I messaged Jordan, said, hey, can I try it out? And then I would come and drive and sit out front of the class and hope nobody saw me in my truck and then take off. And I did that. I think I've told this a couple times on the podcast. I've did that a half dozen times until I worked up the courage to walk in. And like you said, when I walked in, I was like, oh shit, I'm supposed to be here like 6 times. I hope he doesn't, make a deal out of it. And you didn't. You just welcomed me. Oh, great, you made it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's because like it happens so often, people don't show up. It's just like no big deal. When they do show up, it's, oh great, now they're here.
Now you're here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
so for the people listening who have messaged saying they're thinking about showing up, not just to my gym or Jordan's, but any gym, message thinking they're going to show up, please look at Mike. Look how happy this guy is. Just do it. Just show up. Just give it a try. I know it's scary. I know it's hard. Just give it a try.
Yeah, I mean, bravery is being scared to do something and doing it anyways. And, it can really benefit your life so much by being brave. And I don't know, it's kind of like the segue on this. Like, I don't know if anyone saw like the bloopers that I posted of me and Mike. So Mike is like, doesn't know towards me or away from me. I had him in side control with the cross face. I'm like, okay, they can't turn towards you. I'm like, Mike, and then he starts turning away. I'm like,
well, I was turning my head towards him. So in my brain, after filming for a couple hours, in my brain, he said, turn towards me. So his head was up here. So I looked at him, turned towards him. But yeah, I was supposed to turn my whole body in towards him. Yeah, I fucked up there. And I ate some shit online for some comments, but it's all in good fun.
Yeah, I still don't see your logic. I don't know, to be honest. Like, I don't see in what realm of that could ever possibly be towards me. But
well, I looked up towards you.
Yeah,
it was a long day. It was a long day. We'll put it down to that.
But it made for a funny blooper for sure.
For sure. And you weren't a dick about it. You're just like looking at Petrina like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
I was shocked. Honestly, I was just in complete shock. I'm like, how does he not realize right now? So
I swear, guys, I do know how to turn into somebody.
Yeah, I just let you figure out for yourself. I'm not gonna say anything. He's got to. I want to see where this goes. See what else he's gonna say. But yeah, my blooper is funny too, because people can see the behind the scenes of filming these things. Because I enjoy doing the YouTube channel, but I do not enjoy being in front of the camera or in front of the mic. I get extremely nervous, but I just do it anyways. But being nervous results in a lot of screw ups. So I'm, that was like one blooper where I'm just like, fuck, it's like, but like the reality is I could make like hours worth of fucks, but no one would want to watch it. So it's like poor Petrina who films and poor Mike, who's the Uki, like they had to constantly deal with me like screwing up and
we don't mind over. We don't mind at all. To us, it's hard once you get in front of the camera. I think Kieran said that when he was here. He used to work in an industry where you'd film people, and he said you could get the most articulate, smart, most intelligent people in the world, and you turn on a camera and they go blank. So it takes a while.
Yeah, the problem with me is I feel like I always like I'm thinking while I'm talking, and I'm thinking about like what I'm going to say next, or if like what I said it well, and then like thinking like screws me up. So I got to try to not think. But I've been saying I've been fucking up, you know, for like since I've been doing this, just like constantly, like, oh man. But you know, I don't think I'm very good at it. But it's okay, you know, because I still get it done. You know, it's like it makes me nervous, but I still do it. So
I think we're all very self-critical. I think you're very good at what you do, but we all are our own worst critic. Yeah.
well, I think eventually, like the final product always turns out decent, but it's like I would love if I could just do things in one take, if I could just relax my mind, if I could just do the voiceovers, you know, just like in one take or like close to it. Because even like Phaja, he's the guy, like my employee. He edits the podcast. He also edits my voiceovers, which saves me a ton of time. And you know, I feel bad for him because he's got to go through so much. Like, like for example, a 10-minute video, it takes 45 minutes of script read because I'm just fucking up constantly, and it could be half the amount of time if I was just a little better at it. But yeah, I'm still not. So
You just explained my whole jujitsu journey in like 5 minutes. That's exactly how I feel about jujitsu. If I could just not fuck up, I might be able to get somewhere sometime.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, like, you know, it's a skill to develop, and you know, I'm still just 2 years into it, and yeah, trying to improve. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. One thing I tried to do and it didn't work out good is I tried to use like AI, like text to speech, like voice cloning. So it would use my voice, but you know, I can just type it out. But
oh shit, I didn't know that was available for.
Yeah, it's available,
That's
but
amazing.
It's not great, to be honest. Like I was listening to it. Yeah, it sounds somewhat like me, but it's like yeah, it's not. It's like super not monotone, which is like yeah, not me. So you know, it sounds a little out of place, and but it makes me sound not like me just in general. So yeah, but that would be so much easier if I could do that. My life would be like, oh man, I would have so much more time to make stuff and be easier to make stuff. So just type out what I want to say. It generates it, boom, bang, done. But nope, I gotta be you know, in front of the mic saying fuck constantly. And yeah, I gotta find a better word for sure. Just what comes out every time.
From the comments I read, people said they would watch season 1 to 8 of all the bloopers. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody loved them because we're not mad at each other when it happens. We all just laugh about it. Like, you didn't get mad at me and when I was acting fucking dumb as shit. But yeah, everybody loves it because it's genuine. It's real. You know, people like this stuff.
Yeah, I saw one comment. He's like, yeah, it's real nice to make fun of someone when they make a mistake. I'm like, that's the way you took this, you know, when you did the thing. I'm like, you know, we were all having a good time, a good laugh about it.
We're all laughing in the video.
Yeah, people are crazy out there. They say the craziest things, and it's just like, you know, it's unbelievable. But yeah, again, I'm not going to talk about negative comments. So yeah, this episode is brought to you by Minimal Snacks. Let's try it out.
Yeah.
So Minimal Snacks, it's like a beef jerky company basically, and it's just a good source of protein. And I know you've tried it already, and so have I.
It's great. It's good for a keto diet if you're on or a low carb diet as well. It's very moist. It's not like your regular beef jerky where it takes you 6 years to chew through it. And anybody that listens to this podcast know that most of my teeth are fake. It's hard to even chew any meat. This is great.
Yeah, that's the best part for sure. It's actually moist. It's actually easy to chew because, like you said, some beef jerky is just like a jaw workout.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't want to work on my jaw when I'm eating beef jerky. How would you describe the taste?
Oh, man. A little bit sweet, salty. It's nice. It's not too heavy salt. It's not too sweet. It's perfect. I'm not just saying this because they sponsor us. Like, I would buy this and eat it every day. I love this. I ate 3 packages the other day.
And there's only very few ingredients. It's just beef, red wine vinegar, shiitake extract, and salt. So the less ingredients, the better, especially when there's no chemicals involved.
So go to minimalsnacks.com and enter Talk-Jitsu 20 to get your discount on some of the best stuff I've ever had.
You know, that's just one that blew my mind.
It's also understanding your audience. Like, I know when I used to teach classes at Limitless and Trenton, there'd be times where like I'd borrow Mike to teach a technique and you're like, all right, from here, my partner's going to take an underhook. And like, he just doesn't move. And you're like, he's going to take an underhook. He's not moving. You're like, Mike, underhook, Mike. And then he's like, oh yeah, it grabs it. You're like, I swear Mike knows how to take an underhook, but I know he can take a joke. So you're like, yeah, hopefully your partner knows how to get an underhook, and people laugh and you're like, he knows I'm not insulting him. He knows it's a joke, but I know he's also just there spaced completely out while I'm teaching this technique.
Or terrified.
Yeah, it's tough
one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tough being an uki because you need to kind of read the person's mind. So Mike's getting better at reading my mind.
Starting to, yeah.
But like Patrina, who films everything, like I've been using her as a uki for so long. It's like she is like always knows what I want from her. Just like she can completely read my mind. But when I get someone like different than Mike or Patrina, it's always difficult because, yeah, they just because they're so nervous, they don't want to screw up, and which leads them to screwing up.
That's
And
what happens to me. That's
yeah,
what
yeah.
happens to me. Yeah, Patrina's a black belt at being a uki. I'm still a blue belt. You know, so yeah, I get so nervous that I'm gonna fuck things up and make Jordan upset, even though he never gets upset with me. That I fuck up. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's terrible.
Well, that's like me filming, right? And doing voiceovers. I'm like so nervous I'm gonna fuck up. And then that's exactly what happens,
Yeah.
because I start thinking about it. And then yeah, it's like, yeah, I wish it was, there's this song that from Bring Me the Horizon, who's kind of like emo band, and it just came out, and the chorus is like, why am I this way? And I'm like thinking all the time, like, why am I this way? Like, God damn it, I wish I wasn't. But yeah, it's the way she goes. Not a big deal. But
Get better down the road.
yeah, my Jiu-Jitsu theory course is out now, which is super exciting. And I've had a lot of positive feedback from it, and that took me literally hundreds of hours to complete, and it's been very successful in both reviews and just sales have done really well too. So I'm really happy about that. But yeah, I just wanted to I don't know, mention that, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
It's amazing. I started watching. Well, I'm in it, so I'm in a lot of it. But I started watching it again today because when I'm rolling, all I rolled a great big purple belt from another club. Very, very nice guy. I believe his name is Panos. And I was rolling him today, and he was hard to deal with because he's so much bigger than me. And all I could keep remembering was parts of that video. I won't give it away. You guys should buy it.
Oh,
But
go for it.
keep your elbows in T-Rex arms. Don't let them grab your head. I just kept hearing that over and over and over again. And that saved me. And, it gave me some opportunities to capitalize on. So, it works.
Yeah, because really what I'm doing in the course is teaching like the why behind techniques, but also like the in between. Because like I said in the course and the video I uploaded, it's like you're not always doing a technique, and like I feel like the in between is like never taught in jiu-jitsu. It's like always here's a technique, but it's like, well, what do you have to do before the technique? You need to stop them from grabbing your head. You need to take inside position. There's like clear objectives you need to do, but then they're not taught. So which is kind of great for me in a sense, where it's like, okay, now I have a product that teaches that when like, I don't want to say no one else teaches it, but it's very infrequently taught. So yeah, one thing is, interesting too. I saw, people like unsure if like, for 2 hours of info, if it's worth $100. But it's like, because I'm so good at condensing information and like that's my specialty, like I condense so much information into 2 hours, and I basically sacrifice hundreds of hours of my time to so people don't need to spend hours and hours of their time, like viewers. So because like, I could have done that all on the mat and it would have been like probably 8 hours long, but because I do rolling footage, voiceovers, all this stuff, I can condense it and save people time. So it's like my sacrifice for other people saving time. And and some, a lot of people said it was a great price, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just found it interesting. Sometimes people can see like, the hours of like, okay, this is a long instructional, therefore it's value. But I think that it's almost like the opposite. It's like, this is a shorter instructional, condensed information. It's better value. So
Where you trim the fat out, you just get straight to the meat.
yeah.
Well, especially too, because when you buy it, you own this instructional. So you can go back and watch it 10, 15, 100 times if you want. And now people take that $100. I think it's $100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people take that and they'll go, well, I can get a private lesson for an hour with my coach for $100, which by the way is a pretty cheap private lesson. But the difference is when I teach a private lesson for an hour, I can only give you so much information in that hour, because if I give you too much, you're not going to get anything out of it. And you're never going to be able to go back and do this again. So for 2 hours of content, so 2 private lessons worth of time, you're actually going to get 10 times at least the amount of actual information. Because when people make this instructional content, and this is like a little tip for the people out there who aren't wondering, No one who makes instructionals expects you to watch it one time, memorize every single detail, and then just know everything. They know you can go back and rewatch these details. You're going to try a technique in the gym and go, okay, it didn't work. I got to go back to the instructional, find that piece. Okay, what was I missing? What was wrong? So there's going to be more information in there than you can probably absorb in one watch through. So like $100 for a 2-hour instructional is a really good deal when you compare it to what you're going to pay for like private lessons to learn the same thing.
Yeah, and the way I look at it too, it's like if you value your time, again, it could have been 8 hours, but it's 2 hours. So like that's 6 hours of time, or 6 hours of time that you're saving. And if you just say you work like, I don't know, easy numbers, you make $20 an hour. Well, now because you save 6 hours, it's basically kind of like making $120. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's the way I do the math in my head. But yeah, and you can also watch it like, uh, 4 more times in the same amount of time, right? You can watch it 4 times equal to 8 hours and really have the information in your head, as opposed to watching 8 hours of me on the mat, explaining everything and like, just being like extra. So yeah, I just like thought that was interesting, but yeah, it's doing very well. And I'm very happy about that. And the thing is like, if I wasn't confident in the product, I would not advertise it and talk about it, because I have like such high standards and I never want anyone to criticize me. So like if it wasn't good, then I would be like, yeah, I would not advertise it, but it's doing well. I think it's pretty good.
How many times did we reshoot? Right? Like
Oh man.
we've done it a few times, right? So I can attest that he is a perfectionist when it comes to these things. He does not want to put out a poor product. Right?
Yeah, man. I think we filmed like 4 or 5 times, like reshoots, and yeah, I like redid the script like 1,000 times too. Then I got Kieran to come, and then we redid the script, and then I redid the script that we did, and it was just yeah. I wish I wasn't such a perfectionist sometimes, but it is good, overall. I saw like an interesting thing that like, because I am pretty highly driven, I guess you say, and highly driven people often have like the exact right amount of childhood trauma to like not so yeah, where they don't like where it doesn't result in like coping mechanisms, but it results in like always a need to prove themselves, which you know the pros and cons to that. I wish I didn't have that feeling constantly, but also it helps me in life. But not that I have a bad childhood, like my parents were great, fine, but I always felt like I never got credit I deserved as a kid, and I always felt like people were like against me. Like I got in so many like fights constantly as a kid, and yeah, I think from that, it made me really always want to prove myself. So yeah, I kind of carry that mentality now. So I would never want to put out like a bad product or bad video. It's got to be absolutely perfect. And if it's not, I would never advertise it. And some of my videos I've made, I've like deleted because like I didn't think they were great. I think they're perfect. They were like maybe 80% good, but yeah. So people ask me, oh, where'd that video go? It's I deleted it.
Oh geez, I didn't know you deleted some.
Yeah, I'm weird that way, But
Well, I haven't watched your theory course yet, but I have a couple students who got it and they really like it. The only thing that I've had a couple of people ask me is, can you make a downloadable version, not like a login version? Because they're like, I want to watch it at work, but I can't log in, or my work will see what I'm doing on my computer and I'll get in trouble.
yeah, I've had people ask me that too, and I wish I could, but like the site I use, Thinkific, they don't allow it. Like it's not part of their function. I think because like pirating and stuff like that. But I honestly I wouldn't even care if people pirated it, just because I feel like honored in a way, because I'm not saying I've pirated instructionals, but like if I had, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of just the way she goes. And because I know I've heard my half guard one is on there's torrent site that I might know a little bit about, and the thought of people using torrenting my instructionals when maybe I've seen that site before, it's almost like feels I don't know what the word is, like I don't know, it just feels good kind of. But
yeah, that enough people want it that it's on a torrent site. Yeah, that means it's popular. Yeah.
yeah,
in a weird way too, it can also make you more money. I mean, if someone maybe doesn't have the money to buy an instructional, so they torrent one that they shouldn't be able to torrent but find, and they watch it and they go, oh, I really like this guy's a really good teacher. Now the next week when they got paid and they have some money and they're looking at buying an instructional and they see that you have another one out, they're more likely to go to your other one. I mean, ultimately, I know everyone doesn't want all of their instructionals being torrented, but if you do offer a good product for a reasonable price, there are a subsect of people who just can't afford to buy every single instructional out there. I know I'm in that group. I've definitely torrented some. So like, being able to see
allegedly,
yeah, it might not happen. It might have been a gift from someone, who knows, but I got him for no money. But yeah, like, you know, sometimes like I've seen an instructional where I didn't know who the guy was, but I watched it and I was like, damn, that was really good. I want to watch more of his content now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's kind of similar to like UFC, where like people do pay for the pay-per-views and that generates some income. They're doing well, but then people definitely, you know, watch illegal streams too.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
I know why you looked at me when you said that, but
yeah, whenever I need a stream, I don't ask you.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't give you one,
and I don't watch them. You know, I only pay for UFC streams, so. Yeah, but yeah, definitely anyone listening, definitely buy the instructional. Don't torrent it, but if you did, it's fine. It's the way she goes if you can't afford it. But I don't you can't torrent this one because again, it can't be downloaded. So I don't know. It's all good. But anyways, I'm going to film a little bit more for the theory course right now because I have some ideas. Oh, I could have included this. I could have included that. So I guess we got to end this podcast so we can start filming. So yeah, with that said, thanks for sticking around until the end of the podcast. If you enjoyed it and you're still here, please leave a comment or a fist bump, and we'll see you guys next time.